survivors, seekers, and thrivers. Welcome to Transcending Trauma, a spiritual odyssey. I'm Shari Roberts. Thanks for listening to this episode of Transcending Trauma. Get ready for powerful insights, inspiring If you're working to overcome trauma and, a little laughter and would like to work with me or be a guest on my show, contact me through my website at shariroberts.com. Please hit the follow button to make sure you don't miss any episodes. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn at Shari Roberts. You can find all the links in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Shari Roberts, your host, reminding you that you're never alone. Until next time, sending you love and light.
Kelly, thank you. What you do for women over 40 is near and dear to me at this time in my life. Kelly, would you tell us about yourself?
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Yes, my name is Kelly Garnett, and I have a business called Sacred Dating. And it started from my journey to my soulmate. I want to help women and work with women who are wanting to evolve their dating or approach to dating, or want some support along the way, maybe have come out of a significant relationship, like a divorce or an ending of a significant relationship, and want some support along the way of especially navigating online dating. Online dating, I did online dating in its inception, and it has come, like, it's done a 180-degree turnaround with the way people approach it and all the options. And it's still a very good tool and resource, but it can be very overwhelming to navigate and very frustrating, but also a lot of fun. So my intention is to help women experience dating as a sacred journey, because it's really an amazing opportunity to really tap into who you truly are, speak from that place, and align to your intuition to bring in true love.
Love it. Let's back up and talk more in depth about what put you in that place to date again. Were you married or not? Just kind of detail that.
So I've never been married, but I was in a significant relationship off and on for 13 years. It got to the point where I had to finally say enough is enough. This isn't the relationship that I want to be, that I'm so clear about. I've been so clear about what I want to experience in a relationship that it was even hard for me to, it wasn't hard, but I didn't feel comfortable asking friends or family to, set me up with somebody, because I was so clear that the type of man I wanted to be with wasn't probably someone they knew, or they just didn't understand who I wanted to be with. I set that bar pretty high and wasn't willing to budge. I just wasn't. But when things ended with the man that I was with for 13 years, I decided that I needed to approach it in online dating in a very different way, or dating in general. One quote I just read this morning was something about, like, if you're trying to hurry to get something done, you're not allowing the universe to provide, divine timing. It's about divine timing. And so I was hurried. I was frustrated. I was feeling all the things like, where is he already? And why I met nice men, excuse me, but nobody that was the caliber of man I was seeking. With this approach that I took, it completely shifted my relationship to online dating. I actually felt so empowered, so connected to my truth, starting with how I wrote my profile, and I guide my clients into taking that on as a very sacred experience. And then really staying in alignment with my truth and what I wanted to experience. So it really actually, in doing that, it helped me to date with so much more ease and less frustration because I was so clear and I wasn't willing to budge. I wasn't willing to waver in any way, shape, or form, that it made online dating so much of a much more enjoyable experience and led me to my man.
Awesome. How is it? And when did you begin utilizing your intuitive abilities to guide you?
Well, I have a master's degree in spiritual psychology, so we did a lot of work with our intuition. Yeah, it was a phenomenal program. While my intuition was very strong at that time, after I graduated, I still, when it came, so strange, but still when it came to dating, I kind of just pushed that to the side. It was kind of like, I got this. I'm in charge, which led me to a lot of dead-end relationships or nothing at all. Really took me finally going, all right, Kelly, what are you doing? You know better, right? I know I have the tools. You need to stop being so willy-nilly about this or, flip-floppy and start to become very intentional. And that's really what it's about, is just intentional dating. In fact, I was thinking about using that for a name for my business, but I like sacred dating better because it's a return to you and to your truth and your wholeness. And especially for women who are coming out of a serious relationship, whether you ended it or not, you're still going to feel like, shoot, that didn't work. And especially, I would assume after a divorce, that you're left with this failed, this didn't work. Hopefully, women are doing the work to realize, no, that's not true. It's just the ending. Some relationships are for a season and some are forever. And, there are gifts in whatever relationship we're in. But I finally was like, okay, I have to be very intentional. If this is talking about my love life, this is something that's so incredibly important to me that I need to make sure I'm staying focused and intentional in how I'm approaching it.
There are multiple things I want to touch on that you talked about. Please tell me what spiritual psychology is. What led you to that? You are now the second person that I know of with that degree. I
Oh, wow.
only learned of that last week.
Oh my gosh.
I was blown away.
Wow.
Please enlighten me.
Okay. It's hard to articulate because it's not obviously like most degrees. We studied different theorists. My professors picked and chose those who aligned to the messages that they wanted us to get, right? So we covered Erik Erikson, we covered Carl Jung, we covered Fritz Perls. We didn't do any like Freud or anything like that, but it was all different psychologists who have kind of a deeper relationship and connection to psychology. It was experiential. So we met once a month for a weekend, and we would learn a concept, then we would put it immediately into practice by sitting in groups of 3. We called them trios. And so in one seat, you would be the client. We actually got to work through our own issues and challenges. And I think that's a real missing in the world of psychology. Many psychologists have a therapist, but when you're actually working through your own stuff, they're usually having a therapist to support them in supporting their clients, right? Because it can be very overwhelming. But when you actually get to work on your own issues using the exact same concepts you're going to use on your clients, it's incredibly powerful. One seat was being a facilitator or like a therapist, coach, whatever you want to call them. And then the other seat was a neutral observer. And so we just held the space of loving for the client and for the facilitator to support them in that space. And then we would rotate. So we'd sit in all three chairs. I've done incredibly deep work through that. I've learned incredible tools that I've used with my clients that just support them. Basically, the premise is that we operate on what's called a goal line, black and white, right or wrong. And then in this program, what we did was work to go up the learning line. And at the top of the learning line is love. And so that's where Jesus resided, his mother Mary, Buddha, Muhammad, all the great prophets lived and operated from the top of the learning line. As Rumi said, I'm going to follow up the quote. It's one of my favorites too, but it's, something along the lines of, you didn't come here to learn, you came here to release anything. I mean, you didn't come here to learn to love, you came here to release anything that blocks your loving from you, because at the core of who we all are is love. And so that's what we did, was we started to just unravel any of the things that were blocking us from being in our pure love. And what led me to it was actually one of my girlfriends. I grew up Catholic, and I went to Catholic school, and she joined us in 7th grade. It was a K through 8 school. She went on a path of, I call like I hate the term self-help, more like self-enhancement work. And so she invited me to do other work. I went through Landmark Education and did their curriculum for living and some of their programs, and it was fantastic. But what I started to find was it was very heady. It was very cerebral, and I needed something that helped me drop more into my heart space. And so she had gone through this program, and she's like, go. I'm telling you, it's exactly what you're looking for. So I did, and it was phenomenal.
Incredible. And your friend is wise beyond her years. My
Yeah.
God. So you were only 18 when you decided to go to college and major in this.
Oh, no, it's a master's degree.
Okay.
So I went to college. No, I went to college, have a liberal studies degree in elementary education. I was an elementary education teacher for 21 years. I started doing my work, though, when she introduced me to Landmark. I think I was 26. And then I went to the University of Santa Monica. Unfortunately, it's not a master's program anymore. It's evolved into something else. I was, I think, 36 when I did that program.
Oh, wow. During that program is you're working through your trauma or things. When did you begin to notice your intuitive abilities, and what are they, if you know?
So I would say, I think we all have that gut feeling that we can listen to or ignore, as the case may be. I ignored more than listened to, probably.
Yeah.
It would be, I would say, really in the program, because we really operated a lot from our intuition. And so I would say it was there that I really tapped into it. To identify, I guess I would be more, I think maybe clairsentient. I feel, and
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know that I hear anything per se, though I do kind of like hear my own voice telling me something. So maybe that I don't hear something that's external necessarily, not that that means anything, but yeah, I think it would be either clear audience or clairsentient. I'm not sure. I haven't fully dove into that. My boyfriend is incredibly intuitive. We intend to really dive into this together. We just moved to San Diego, actually, and so we're still getting settled here. And then we're going to start to really dive into exploring our intuition together. And
I'd love to help you both do that. That is my wheelhouse.
oh, wonderful.
Identifying people's intuitive abilities and helping them develop it. Yes, you are clear, sentient, and clairaudient, but I also am picking up that you are a channeler, meaning you just know an answer or know something,
Yeah,
but have no idea how you know.
yeah, that's true. Definitely.
Yeah,
I say it's my intuition. That's what I chalk it up to if I just
yeah,
come back to it.
it is. It's all part of that. I don't want to go too deep into your past, but you did endure trauma.
Yeah, well, my parents divorced when I was 3. I know people probably would say, oh, that's, a lot of people go through divorce, a lot of children go through divorce. And, I hear the excuse of, oh, they're so resilient, they'll bounce back. that I had a good childhood considering. I mean, my parents did their best, but it was traumatizing. When my dad would drop me off at home, I would sob. I mean, it was awful. And my mom remarried pretty much right away. For somebody who doesn't have the language skills to really articulate what I was feeling, I never really got any kind of support that I wish I would have had. I feel like it would have set me on a completely different path in my life. What I ended up doing as a result was trying to find a man to fill that void that was missing, that loving space that I felt a hole in. With my dad not being in my home, I saw him, but he wasn't in my home. It led me to a lot of relationships that I was left heartbroken because I didn't know how much I was trying to fill that void. I didn't know that that void was so palpable and running my life, essentially. It definitely traumatized me.
That makes sense. And it is sad how often younger people, children's experiences and how they're processed and the impact they have. I mean, they're dismissed just as you said.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. Let's now go back to your graduation from the master's program. Is that when you broke off your 13-year relationship? No. Okay.
Ironically, wait till you hear this.
Oh,
Ironically,
me,
no.
yeah.
It started a year after I graduated. I was truly shocked by it. I was because the whole time there was this knowing that this is not my person that I'm supposed to be with forever. And yet, I think truly, honestly, it was trauma bonding. He had a very traumatic childhood because I kept feeling like I feel like we're addicted to each other. Like this just something is not right about this. He felt the same way. And when I started to learn about trauma bonding, I was like, oh, that's most likely what this was. Because I kept going, universe, like, why would you put this quality of man in my life after I just did all this work on myself and I'm in such a great space and feeling elevated and loving and shining like a beacon of light and hope. And I do believe that everything happens for our highest good to serve us in some way, even if it's the contrast of what we don't want to experience. Sometimes we have to go through it to go, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And clearly it took me a while to finally say, no, I'm not doing that anymore. 13 years to be exact.
Well,
So
it took me 23 years to
wow.
say no more. Girl, you have had all over me.
I'm grateful for the experience because it really taught me. With him, I was able to be all of me. I was able to stand strong in with boundaries. I got to practice boundaries with him. I got to practice so many things that were missing in my former relationships because I was just needing someone to fill that hole, that bubble of the lack that was there from my dad dying. Oh God, no, my dad's alive. Thank God. No, my dad leaving. It was beautiful in that I could finally stand more strongly in me. And then it kept changing and changing and changing until finally I was like, okay, and now I'm done. Like this is not serving me anymore. I got, what I needed out of it, and which would be the lessons. I don't want to say like I was using him or anything, but I got the lessons that I felt like I needed to then move into the place that I was when I met my current man and partner.
Did you deal with a lot of toads before he came along?
Yes, for sure. And I don't want to say toads, essentially, yeah, metaphorically. What happened was I was on, I think, 2 of the free apps. I think I was on Bumble and Hinge. Had this kind of feeling, intuition, that I should go on a paid one. So Match was the first one that kind of popped into my awareness. I liked Match, or I'd done Match and eHarmony, and eHarmony I liked a lot when it initially started. It was great for, I feel like, finding people who were serious about relationship, because you had to go through this whole questionnaire. And if you really want to take the time to go through that, you must really want to be in a relationship. And unfortunately, with the free apps, there's scammers on there, bots. There's people, we hear there's been those movies, the Tinder Swindler. Anyway, and then there was that recent movie that's on Hulu that was about a man or women who were scammed through like Facebook or Words with Friends. And I actually experienced that twice on Facebook. So you have to be very careful.
I need to hear that. Come
Okay, I'll tell you.
on.
Yeah. Well, so quickly back to my now partner. So I'll finish that up. So I had the hit of, maybe I should go onto one of the paid ones. In the past, my response to that would have been like, oh, I don't know. I mean, online dating for me could be so I don't know if drudgerous is the right word, but so much drudgery. This time, though, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit with that. And then I had a client who said she actually was going on Match. She got this offer for a good deal. And I thought, that's kind of a God wink. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find this good deal. I didn't. So I signed up for 1 month because it's quite pricey now. I figured in that month, and I had set the intention that on or before my birthday, I would meet my true love. And at this point, it was April, I believe. I felt like the men on there weren't much better than the men on the free ones. I thought there would be kind of an up leveling of who was the quality of man, but it wasn't. Good guys too, and not so great. But I was going to shut it down. And I kept feeling like my man is not online. And so I really was just using it as a tool to practice and, again, align to me and what do I really want, and speak that to men, like really be courageous to finally own who I am and what I want instead of pretzeling into who I thought he wanted me to be, which is what I was doing prior. So now I'm about to delete my account, and they say, oh, if you sign up for 3 more months, if you sign up for 1 more month, we'll give you 3 for free. And that would take me to my birthday in August. So I thought, okay, I'll do 1 more month. And if it happens, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. And I would say a couple weeks after renewing it is when we met. And he had never been online before. I wasn't his first date, but he had only gone on a couple dates prior to me, and he wasn't even really looking for anything serious. And then he read my profile, and the rest is history. So
Had he been in a long-term relationship?
he was definitely a long-term relationship guy. He had been married. Then he was in another relationship. I think actually after his wife, he was in a relation or ex-wife relationship longer than his marriage. And then he had some other shorter term, but still, 1-year, 2-year relationships after that. And after the last one, he kind of was like, I just want to date, because I think he's serial long-term man. And so he's like, I kind of want to just date and see what that's like. Like I said, he read my profile, and he was a goner at that point.
What did your profile say?
Well, this is what I take my clients through, is how to set up their profile to be just that. One that has your partner, future partner, true love, just their jaw drop. So I don't want to give away too many secrets, but it was just very clear about what I wanted. Where before I would listen to my friends who were like, oh, you need to be more light and don't say too much, and you need to be funny and witty. And I finally realized, I even see other coaches that offer training, and like in 90 days, you'll have, so many men in your inbox, you won't know what to do with yourself, kind of a thing. And I realized I don't need so many men in my inbox. I need one. In fact, I don't want a ton of men in my inbox. The clearer I could be, which is really the biggest and most important step that I take my clients, is to get so clear about what you want. Because a lot of people will go out there and be like, oh, I'll just know when I see it, or I'll figure it out along the way. But having that clarity is, kind of the roadmap. You can go on a road trip somewhere and just, which I love to do, just kind of turn left, turn right, and go whatever way you feel inspired to go. Or if you're specifically wanting to go to a destination, you kind of need to map out the journey. That's what I do, is I help my clients to map out what their journey will be to love, and once they have love. That's really what was the huge shift for me, was to be like, I don't need 50 men in my inbox by tomorrow. I need one. That's the one. And it worked.
Excellent. You are the ideal person for me to ask this question. In your profile, did you put anything about your intuition or spirituality? I struggle with that having highly developed intuitive abilities in the things I do spiritually.
Yes, I did the spirituality. I haven't claimed my intuitive gifts yet, so I didn't put that in there. But I did put spirituality. He put that he was intuitive. So for me, that was and spiritual. And so it was like, oh, I actually reached out to him first, and I think I just liked. You can like or you can message, and I think I just liked him. I was living in LA and he was living in San Diego. He's from San Diego, and it's been my intention for. So I went to college down here, and since then I've been come back and left and come back and left and come back. This time it was I had to have a different relationship to moving down here. So it was 12 years in the making. When I liked him, I thought I talked to a couple guys that lived in San Diego and they weren't interested in a long distance relationship, even though it's only 2 hours. But my ex was living down here, so I was used to it. I really wanted to be down here and I didn't want to meet somebody in my age range who lived in LA because they're going to be in their jobs most likely. This was pre-COVID. So actually, no, it wasn't. It was post-COVID. A lot of people are going to be locked into their jobs or they have children. And so they have to be in LA. And I don't have children, excuse me. So I'm free to go wherever I want to go. So when I liked him, I thought, I don't know if he's going to want to be with somebody that's in LA. And then he did respond and it worked out. And he actually ended up moving up to LA with me for a year.
I give your man huge kudos for putting his intuitive abilities out there, not caring if anyone liked it, was freaked out. He knew and was confident in himself to do that. He is the type of guy I want, but older, like twice the age.
Twice the age would be 100. He's 52.
Okay.
Like, no, that would be too old.
Okay. Do you mind sharing a little bit about him and how he is so comfortable in his skin with his abilities?
I think with putting it online, his friend set up his profile. I think she's very intuitive. He there's a branch of spirituality called spiritualism. And yeah, you know that. Okay. So he goes, So he goes to, he was going to a church that was focused on that. In that is where he really tuned in and tapped into his gifts through this one woman who unfortunately has passed, but she really helped him and some other people through that, helped him to really step into his abilities. It actually started with he knew Louise Hay. His girlfriend at the time was her hairstylist. So she invited him to go to a You Can Do It. I don't know if it was a weekend or a day at the time, which is one of her big, and it continues, one of the big events. In that, he was gifted, when he went, he won a free experience, and I can't remember who it was with, but somebody who also helped him start to find his spiritual path. That's where it kind of all started. Then through the spiritualist path, journey, experience, he started to tap into his gifts. So he comes from a very traumatic background of abuse. I'm sure he would have been able to tap into his gifts sooner, but he was in survival mode for so long that he needed support in accessing it. I think that the friend put that he was spiritual and intuitive on there. I don't know that he chose that. I mean, he kind of gave some input, but he was kind of like, whatever, why are you even doing this? But okay, I'll try it, kind of a thing.
How old was he when he began consulting and going down that spiritual path.
I'm going to say he was in his early 30s because it was post his divorce.
So you met him way into his journey.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
20 years in.
Love, love, love it. Okay, I could go on for days with you, but we are at the 1 hour, and
shoot.
I'm sure you have other things to do. How about in closing, sharing whatever you want to about yourself and your amazing services.
I'll just quickly, because we wanted to talk about my experiences with those scammers. Luckily, I didn't give any money. I didn't give anybody money, but they asked me. So please don't ever, anybody, give any money to anybody you don't know. Please, please, please. If you watch the Hulu special, I forget the title of it, but it's like I don't even remember. Please never give money to anybody that you haven't at least met in person. But even then, please don't until you're in a relationship. Use your intuition with that one. My last thing to say is, it's such a gift to be able to own who you really are and operate from that place, especially in the world of dating, because it can be so incredibly, relationships in general, but online dating especially can be so incredibly triggering and such a roller coaster ride of emotions. And so what my mission is to help women and men too, I'm open to working with men, of course, navigate it in such a more grounded and intuitive place where, again, you're feeling empowered, you're actually enjoying the journey instead of feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and just shut down by it. Because I've been there. I went through all of those emotions. I've gone through the whole gamut. And when I finally got so clear and so intentional, that was the game changer for me and brought me the love of my life.
You two have been together how long?
2 years.
I'll probably be hiring you.
Wonderful.
I have done online dating in the last couple of years, but prior never did. I'm of the belief that the right person comes along at the time they're meant to.
Yeah.
And with traveling, I would think that God will make that happen when I'm ready and with the right guy.
Yes. Well, you have to just align to it too and be truly pure in that alignment, releasing any
excellent advice. So true. Thank you so much for again making time and sharing all that you did. Keep on shining and doing what you are. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been truly my honor to be here and share this.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Transcending Trauma, the Spiritual Odyssey. If you're working to overcome trauma and would like to work with me or be a guest on my show, contact me through my website at shariroberts.org. Please hit the follow button to make sure you don't miss any episodes. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn at Shari Roberts. You can find all the links in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Shari Roberts, your host, reminding you that you're never alone. Until next time, sending you love and light.